Under the floodlights in Qatar, the scene is set for the final sprint shootout of the Formula One season. I mean, the pressure is absolutely immense, and the starting grid for the sprint is about to get decided in the most dramatic way you can imagine. So, what are we looking at here? You've got 20 of the best drivers on the planet, each with just a handful of laps to prove they are the fastest. The clock is always ticking, and that threat of elimination, it's just hanging over every single corner. There is absolutely zero room for error. Before we dive into the action and some of the massive shocks, let's do a super quick breakdown of the format. Think of it as a rapid-fire, three-part gauntlet that's just designed for pure action. Okay, so this whole shootout is a brutal three-part elimination. It all kicks off with SQ1. All 20 drivers get 12 minutes, and the slowest 5 are out. Simple as that. Then the pressure just ramps up for the 15 who are left in SQ2. And finally, you get the top 10 battling it out for pole position in a frantic 8-minute finale. It really is all about just surviving and advancing to the next round. Now, a key term you're going to hear all the time is the drop zone. That just refers to those bottom 5 spots on the timing sheet. If your name is in the drop zone when that clock hits 0, that's it. Your day is done. It is the most dangerous place to be in qualifying, period. And in this particular session, that first cut, wow, it delivered one of the biggest shocks we have seen all season. The pressure was on right from the very first lap. Okay, so picture this. The final seconds of SQ1 are ticking away, and all eyes are glued to the timing screen. And right there, sitting in 15th place, is a name you never expect to see in the danger zone: Lewis Hamilton. We're talking about a 7-time world champion on the absolute bubble, about to be eliminated with just 1 lap to save himself. You can just feel the tension in the air as he flashes across the line. But the time, it just isn't there. He stays put in 15th, and with a bunch of cars behind him still on fast laps, you just had this sinking feeling that it wasn't going to be enough. His fate was basically sealed right there. And then, it's confirmed. As other cars improve their times, Hamilton gets pushed down, down, down into the drop zone. It was a monumental shock. I mean, one of the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen, knocked out in the very first round. Unbelievable. And you know, Hamilton wasn't the only big name caught out. He was joined in a surprise early exit by Liam Lawson, Lance Stroll, Pierre Gasly, and Franco Colapinto. So that's 5 drivers gone after just 12 minutes, with an absolute legend among them. Okay, let's move on to SQ2. With the field now cut down to just 15 drivers, the fight to get into that top 10, well, it got even more intense. The margins for error shrank to basically nothing. And in SQ2, the drama really centered around one critical rule: track limits. It's simple, right? You have to keep all 4 wheels of your car inside the white lines of the circuit. But if even one wheel goes completely over, poof, your lap time for that attempt is instantly deleted. It doesn't matter how fast you were. And here is a perfect and brutal illustration of those consequences. Isaac Hadjar sets a lap that's easily good enough for the top 10, but he runs wide by just millimeters at turn 8. His time gets deleted and he's out. That one tiny mistake promoted Kimi Antonelli, who was about to be knocked out himself, into the final shootout. It is a game of inches, quite literally. So, joining Hadjar on the sidelines for that final session were Oliver Behrman, Gabriel Bortoledo, Nico Hulkenberg, and Esteban Ocon. And just like that, our field was set for the final top 10 battle for pole. This is it, the big one. 8 minutes, 10 drivers, 1 shot to claim pole position for the sprint race. The intensity just goes up another massive notch. Kimi Antonelli, the guy who got a second chance because of that track limits call, was the first one to set a serious time. He puts a 1:20.9 on the board. Okay, that's the benchmark. That is the time to beat. But, you know, Antonelli's time, it didn't stand for long at all. Just moments later, his teammate George Russell comes flying across the line and smashes that benchmark by 0.3 of a second, grabbing provisional pole. The gauntlet had officially been thrown down. But then came the McLarens. Oh man. Oscar Piastri, who's right in the middle of a championship fight, he just absolutely lit up the timing screens. He flies across the line 0.2 clear of everybody else. A huge statement. Now all the pressure was on everyone else, especially his teammate, Lando Norris. Norris gives it absolutely everything he's got. He's trying to get back-to-back sprint poles. He pushes to the absolute limit, but as he crosses the line, he misses his teammate's time by just 0.04 of a second. Can you believe that? an unbelievably tiny margin separating the two McLarens.
So, with the checkered flag out and all the final laps in the books, the dust settled, and one driver stood on top of the pile after a perfectly executed lap.
And that driver was Oscar Piastri. For a guy who had just lost the lead in the championship, this was a massive, massive result. After a really tough stretch of races, he put his McLaren on pole position, doing exactly what he needed to do to fight back. So here's how the top of the grid is going to line up for the sprint. You've got Piastri on pole with George Russell right alongside him. Then it's Norris and Alonso on the second row. But check this out. Yuki Tsunoda puts his car in P5, qualifying ahead of championship contender Max Verstappen in sixth. What a fantastic result for Yuki. So Piastri has done the first part of the job, right? He secured the best possible starting spot. But with his championship rivals breathing down his neck right behind him, well, getting pole is one thing. Converting that into a win when the title is on the line, that is a whole other challenge. So what happens when the lights go out? We're just going to have to wait and see.